What kind of got you into wanting to do some of this testing like this?
Well, I'm glad you started, because that's how I'll start. I'll go ahead and start. So the whole thing with this, for those that don't know, I got a YouTube channel. That's probably why you're here, you poor things, for everyone for watching it. But the mistake I made, for any of you that ever want to start a YouTube channel, you should probably just avoid all your comments. I swear to God. Because the only people that ever complain are the ones that are going to be in the comments. Rarely you'll get a guy like, oh, good job. And you know what? You won't even value that one near as much. You might have 20 of those. You'll have one. They're y'all adults, so
hey.
I do cuss. But you'll have one, and you're like, you'll think about it the whole day. You're like, that's and you're like, I know he ain't doing that. So then you look at his profile, and you're like, oh, he ain't got no subscribers. But anyway, I just did this one. I built the LS with the hope. I was hoping Thule would be here, because I'd brag his cage on this one too. Because one of the biggest things is I was doing small blocks, because I've always been somewhat of a small block guy, but I don't like all engines. It's not like I hated one more than the other. But anyway, so I built a small block, did a lot of testing with that last year, just doing manifolds, because it's easy to change on the small block. Anyway, it ended up making about 650 horsepower, just some different things. But the most common thing was, LS will kill it. They'll whoop it. It's the best thing ever. They're superior. So like, all right then, I'll build an LS. We'll just see. So I had the LS built, similar specs. And for the most part, it made about the same power before the cam challenge. So at that point, I think it was making 645, and the small block was 652. So anyway, we were only using that Texas Speed Stage 2 camshaft. And if you ever wonder why that one was chosen, there was a viewer that actually lived like probably 100 miles away from me, and he said, you know, I've got the cam, because at the time I was just going to run a solid roller cam, because I'd run a solid roller on the small block Chevy. And I even had the cam, because Urson had ground the same cam in the solid roller profile for the LS. So it'd be the same one. Still haven't tested that, because it turns out shaft rockers for LS are expensive. But anyway, they can handle the shaft rocker, the solid roller pressures. So anyway, he's like, I got this Texas Speed Stage Camshaft, Stage 2. I got the lifters. You want to try it? Well, that's all I'm lacking, so I guess so. And that's how it always went in there. And another viewer had sent in that Truck Norris camshaft, which, of course, is much smaller. And we tested that one. It was bad.
Yeah.
It didn't do very well, because it just wasn't made for this whole combination. So anyway, after I did the Texas Stage 2 camshaft, the commenters. And again, I think most of the testing you see is because someone commented something stupid. I know you're like, nah, you had a whole plan. No, I didn't. I had a plan to prove them wrong, and that's why the testing went on. So like the next one, that people kept saying, well, the Texas Speed Stage is too small. It's not even close to small block Chevy. If you threw a bigger camshaft in it, you're going to do better. Well, one of the competitors, Luke Simeon, before the competition, he sent in the camshaft, and it was exactly like the David Visor thing that they said, you need the narrow lobe separation, you need more duration. The exhaust split from the intake to exhaust was too much on that Texas Speed. This is the magic ticket. And I thought that way too. I was like, well, it's got to be bigger. It's a bigger cam. This thing should be just, and it sucked. I think it made like 2 more horsepower. The torque over the whole band was down. And once I did that video, man, that got some negativity. So that one, like, the day was going great. I didn't work out this morning. Had a nice cup of coffee. Everything's calm. Nothing's bad in the house. The family's happy. Life's good. Life wasn't good. As soon as I read the comments, I was like, enough of this. So then I was like, I got an idea. And because the next day I was on the dyno with I think it was a big block Chevy, because we're doing the intake swap on that. I'm like, I got an idea. So I asked Gary, I said, hey, Gary, for you don't know, he's the guy that has the dyno that we use. I was like, hey, do you mind if we did like some cam testing here? He goes, I don't care. All right then. I don't think he thought it would be 28 cams, but yeah. So I said, I got $100. I'll bet $100. And my thought was, y'all probably get 3 people who sign up for this thing. I got $100. It's $100 to the best cam that shows up. But if you want to win more money, you just donate $100, and that'll go into winnings. I had no idea it would get this big, period. So, like I said, David Visor, he contacted me, he's like, I got one. And then Chris Straub hit me up too, and then Howard's as well. So there were so many, and then it was like, oh crap, this is way more. I need to get some money for the dyno time. And luckily from the donations, that paid for the dyno time and gave Bobby won $5,000. So, and that was all from the donations from people. So that's how it all started. And to be honest with you, I'm a data guru, so I don't care if the LS was better than the small block Chevy. I just didn't like the LS fanboys. Just like I'm from Oklahoma, I hate OU because of the OU fanboys. So I didn't care about that. I just want to know what did what. So when you guys sent in the camshaft, that was an eye-opening thing. And even to this day, when we got done doing it at the end, when you saw the differences in power, I mean, for the most part, they're relatively close. I mean, the peak power is 670 by Bobby, and others like GPI was right there. And then you look at Joe Carroll, he had a lot of torque down low, but didn't have the peak power. But then you look at the cam cards, and you're like, some of these are way, way different, but they're not that far different on the power. And so at the time, Thule's a great guy, by the way, and I know he's not here because he's probably trying to excel that cane and valve head he's got. But anyway, when he was being nice about it, he was like, I think something's wrong with this. It should make more. And Lucas Simeon, the competitor too, that was into the camshaft, the very first one that all started this whole thing, he's like, well, I got this set of headers. Because one of the thoughts was, maybe it's the headers, because the headers that were used were made to fit a chassis, which is a similar that anybody that would run. I mean, you're not running dyno headers in a car unless you're in a sprint car, which I don't even know if LS's are in sprint cars. Oh, there's the man. But anyway, so I thought, well, this is going to change things, and it did. So it did bring up power, but it didn't even change it as much as I thought. Again, Thule came forward, and he's like, hey, I got these set of AFR LS3 heads. You want to try this? Now, this is after the cam challenge is over. And I can tell you now, and this is, it pains me as a cylinder head porter to tell you, I can't match what that AFR LS3 head is. That's the best LS3 head I've ever come across my bench, period. And I mean, there's a bunch of people down there, I'm not going to name call them. They don't, and I've seen their heads, flowed their heads. They don't do that. That head, trust me, it hurts to say it. I can't beat it. I even saw Mamo down there. I said, I don't know what you did, what magic you made, what deal with the devil, but that's a good head. So anyway, we put that on and things dramatically changed. And truthfully, I probably should have tested more cams because GPI's jumped up a lot. Brian Thule's, which is like the big one, which finished like it was one of the worst ones. That thing made over 717 horsepower. So you're talking, it went from, I think it was 660 before, all that from the, I mean, it made a bigger difference because of the head. So it really just gave me more questions than anything else. Which, if you're doing this right, for any of you, when you finish any testing, you should have more questions and probably not more answers. It will answer things, but you should have more questions that follow that. If not, you're doing this for the wrong purpose. And if you're just saying, well, this is, if you're just getting the information to confirm a theory, it probably isn't the best way. You should try to confirm that it was wrong. Because if you're just looking for things that prove you right, you'll find those. But you can't ignore the things that prove you wrong. So anyway, there's your long spiel on that. The best part should be the questions that they get answered from you cam guys. Because I do not proclaim to be a cam guru. I'm a cam lottery winner. That's what I am. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it don't. But I keep testing and figure out what happens. But anyway, if you guys got questions, there's a bunch of people in here that are the camshaft competitors who probably answer. So don't be shy and ask your questions. Otherwise, I'm going to ask a bunch of stupid questions. And I promise you, they're dumber than yours. So, all right, get some hands up and let's see who wants to get things answered. Go ahead, Mr.
So the LS valve angle, is that one of the bonuses to this whole deal because of the average flow, I guess would be the better term, because of the quality of the air?
Well, I'll point this out too. Thule isn't just a cam guy, he's also a cylinder head guy, and there's lots of cylinder head guys here too. The thing you need to remember is we don't always concur or agree on the same things, but sometimes we get to the same horsepower number. So if you ask me on the LS, because more of my world's always been the small block Chevy world, to me the LS has the biggest advantage. You have the bigger valve one, which he's like, oh, smaller valve, higher coefficient discharge, which he's probably true too, because the best even that AFR head that did great, the small bore LS3 beat that.
Well,
Go ahead.
Our new LS3 head that has a 225 valve, it's smaller than all the other LS3 heads we tested, including those. Our head makes almost 20 horsepower more than that.
And see, I'm gonna find that out.
Yeah.
So yeah, coefficient of discharge, if hydraulic roller, 500 foot, whatever it has the highest coefficient of discharge, 99.9% of the time, will make it this power.
And see, I agree with that, but part of me was like, I want to see if I can't find a way to prove it where that didn't happen. Because there's going to be a scenario where that probably doesn't track, but I want to see. But I actually do totally agree with him on that. But the biggest thing in the LS is if you look there, got like a 15 degree from the LS3. Most of the aftermarket ones are like 13 or 11. So they're rolling that over. The valve spacing itself, where they place it, it's better. It's off, well, not the stock one, but the aftermarket stuff's moved over. So they're just better.
Yeah.
Yeah, the circle and the AFR are both 12 degrees, and actually, the intake.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and comment below. Also, give us a follow on our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As always, we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you again next time.